Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Pizza Story podcast. Joining us now is Anna Harsh, the visionary director behind Allegro Dance Company. Known for her signature Italian dance experience, Anna has dedicated her career to sharing the vibrant history of Italy through dance. Whether it's the storytelling of the Tarantella or the grace of her company's performances, she's making sure these traditions thrive for a new generation. Welcome to the show, Anna.
Well, thank you so much. It's an honor to be here.
Yeah, of course. So I want to talk about, so many different things, but, I know you're Italian and I want to talk about your history with Italian dance and kind of how you were introduced to it.
Yeah, so I've been dancing since I think I came out of the womb. My family is involved with the arts, whether it's music or dance or writing. So I started formal classes when I was 4 years old and
Wow.
then started doing these traditional dances through family members, teaching me little steps here and there and dancing after dinner or after a big party, that kind of thing, incorporating it into events and big celebrations. But when I got to college and I was getting my undergraduate degree in dance, I thought, "Okay, what am I gonna do, for my career?" And I had to do a college thesis project to graduate. A couple of my professors said, "What are you gonna pick?" And I said, "Well, I think I'm gonna do traditional Italian dance and research it and really perform those things and see how it goes." And they said, "Well, we don't have anything in our history books about this because it's not written down. It is taught orally from one person to another." So I had a lot of trouble finding research, something that was written down. So I ended up talking to a few professors that I knew that studied in Italy and had some dances that I could get started with. And after I performed these for my college thesis project, my professor said, "Why don't you do it for the public and get some feedback in the community?" And I said, "Well, okay, let's see how this goes." So I brought a few friends with me and performed for a hometown festival, and we never looked back. That was 33 years ago. And touring the United States and studying and researching in Italy, performing in Italy, performed for a pope in the past. So it's been a journey and an adventure for sure.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. I will tell you, Italian traditions are so important. I think, in our community and some of these Italian traditions, like you said, there's not books and there's nothing in the history books about this dance. So you keeping it alive is so incredibly important, especially in the US.
Yeah. Yeah, that was what I found that here in the United States, the next generation doesn't really know these steps per se, or that there's more than one tarantella. So I have hundreds of tarantellas that I've studied and danced. So it's found mostly in the southern regions of Italy. Sicily has their own tarantella, and Naples has various tarantellas, and they date back over 2,000 years. You know, They've been written down maybe in the 14th, 15th century, so people think, "Oh, well, it's a few hundred years old," but this goes back to ancient times. This is over 2,000 years old, and it's a genre of dances. So it's so nice to step into those time periods and know what your ancestors were thinking and feeling and doing, because these were rituals. These were dances that created about community or prayers to heal the body. And so it's not just jumping around to celebrate. I mean, that's what we think about today, perhaps, but these were dances that were rituals and prayers. So I think maybe if we, kind of say those things today, it puts it in context of why it's so important to preserve. Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, when was your first trip to Italy?
I was in 6th grade. I was about 12 years old and
Wow.
got a chance to meet my family for the first time in Calabria,
Mhm.
but we traveled all over Italy. We went to Milan, Venice, Florence, Rome, and then traveled down to the south to meet my family, but I think that planted the seed perhaps.
Yeah.
And when I was in 6th grade, I made this vision board, of what I wanted to do. My teacher was like, "Put anything, your dreams, anything you wanted to do." So I said, "Okay, I wanna travel, and I wanna have my own company and perform, and maybe meet the Pope." And so all of those things came true. It was really wild.
Oh,
And, so I talk about it in the books that I have written today so that the next generation can read about it and have something to pull from that bookshelf and understand and pick up maybe where I left off.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's talk about your books.
Yeah, so I've written 2 novels, little novellas, and I don't know if we can show them here, but
Yeah, show them.
one is La Danza, just means the dance,
Yeah,
conflict, passion, and healing, and that's me dancing in Paestum. It's a little south of Naples, and
I love it.
those themes are what the Tarantella is about. And so, finding conflict, whatever that spider bite, what is your bite that you're conflicted with? Some tarantellas are about passion, finding that love, and attracting that love into the center of the circle when we dance. And then healing, of course. What is your bite that you're healing yourself from? Is it grief, anxiety, traumatic experience? That's what the tarantella was for. And so those are the themes I kept finding in my research. So the first book is about how did I find these and what are the themes? And I even give the reader questions that they can ask themselves to go along their own journey. What is your journey like in your life? And maybe your heritage and your family traditions, what are those? And so you get a chance to journal along with me and experience it. And then the second book, I kind of broke them up into two because it was too much information. But
Sure.
the second book is about northern dances, not the tarantella,
Yes.
but elegant circle dances, polkas, waltzes, and things that we find in northern regions of Italy. So the Italian dance quest, because I'm always on the quest to find more dances, of course. The goal is all 20 regions, and I'm almost there.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's a big adventure that I've been on, and a lot of trips to Italy, a lot of teachers that guide me through these dances and help me find more information, and, going to museums and, of course, having a lot of pizza along the way.
Yes. You have to have pizza.
Absolutely, and then, I've always been asked about children, what about the next generation? So, I ended up writing a children's book to get them started. And so it's a little girl named Alessia. Alessia discovers a spider web. And so we talk about the web and Signor Ragno, the spider that she meets in her garden, that talks her through Tarantella's steps that she can do as he weaves his web. So
That's incredible.
yeah, so the children's book series is that's the first one. The second one will come out in this year, and she meets a new character, Coccinella, which is Ladybug, and we talk about bringing luck to your community and how you can create it. But by sharing your gifts, basically. Sharing your food, sharing a slice of pizza, perhaps. But she has a problem with her garden, and the Ladybug will help her get a little solution that she can share with her community.
That's amazing. I need to get those for my nieces because, like, that's one of the things that my dad is very big on keeping Italian traditions. And we're from Abruzzo,
Okay.
and he's very much like, we still have family dinners. We still have the seven fishes on Christmas Eve. And, we have the Tarantella has been big in our family. And that's why I was so interested to talk with you because I was looking at your page and I was like, there's not many people that know a lot about this dance.
Right. Right. And every time I go back to Italy and study with a new teacher in another region, I'm always like, "Oh, I didn't know that nuance." It depends on the region, it depends on the town even. Like, some people can say, "Oh, I know exactly what town you're from," by just, maybe a hand gesture or where you look or how you hold hands with another partner. They know
Hmm.
exactly where you come from. So, there are little tiny nuances and so much, history and stories that you can learn from these dances, and then, like you said, traditions, and I keep learning life lessons from these dances as well. Looking someone in the eye, sharing your space, who's a leader, who's a follower, and how to be those roles with each other.
That's incredible. So, if we go back to, the origin of the tarantella, can you kind of tell our listeners, like, where does it come from?
Yeah, I mean, they think that they pinpoint it down to the region of Puglia, maybe in the city of Taranto, or that Salento region. And I got a chance to visit that museum in Taranto, and it's amazing and beautiful. And so you can see frescoes and pottery of women doing these movements for healing. Like I said, it's a ritual for healing.
Wow.
And so if they were bitten by a spider, and that could be taken in many contexts, right? What is your bite? Is it anxiety, grief, maybe a traumatic experience? And so they would shake and tremble to like bounce and get the nervous system moving, basically. It was therapy. It was therapy for them. And people would come out and pray for that person. They would surround them in a circle and play and chant. And so it was a way for community to come together, to heal one another. But there's many different variations, like I said, and different reasons that we, as you travel and evolve through history that we use it for today. I mean, I think people would use it for celebrations, weddings, festivals. But again, it goes back to community. We gather in a circle because we are all together and we're all one, that unity of a circle. And that's why we use those shapes in dance formations
Mhm.
to show that we are one and that no one is more important than anyone else.
Yeah.
Those change in the northern regions. We don't have tarantellas. Like I said, we have waltzes and polkas and different kind of line dances, which were more organized. In the South, when you have a tarantella, the dance steps aren't organized. It's very improvisational. So it's like a conversation. If I do a step, then my partner does a step to like respond. But in the North, it's very calculated and choreographed, but it's again, later in time, we're talking Renaissance and beyond. So it's very different. And I love contrasting the two regions or the two parts of Italy. Even central Italy has, these saltarellos that are fast but have a completely different feel to them. So it's interesting to find all of this history and to know what all of Italy looks like rather than just a slice, like a pizza. Like rather than just a slice, you get to see the whole thing and understand the country as a whole. Yeah.
Yeah. And do you have a region where you're like, this is my favorite region of Italy, or do you just love Italy in general?
I love Italy in general. I've traveled so many times in so many different regions, but I recently, just a couple years ago, went to Puglia and I fell in love with it. Like every single city I went to 6 or 7 cities to study with different teachers and even bought a drum from a drum maker to start
Oh,
learning that. But, I fell in love with it. It's just so beautiful, welcoming, and of course, Calabria. I just keep going back because I still visit family there. And so, it's my favorite region, of course. But I think Puglia was, pulling at my heart for sure this last trip. And I can't wait to go back next year.
well, that's incredible. So we're going to come back to dance, but I have just a quick question. Do you have a favorite thing that you like to eat in Italy?
Well, pizza, of course. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're talking about that. But their pasta, something simplistic. The most simple ingredients are the best, of course. And so when I come home, I'm always like trying to recreate something really simplistic. Less ingredients always is tasting better to me. And so in each region, you have different things. It's spicier the further south you go.
Yeah.
And the further north you go, it's very light, refreshing. And I've incorporated a little bit of lemon now and then from Capri.
Mm.
Once I got a taste of different kinds of dishes in Capri that were very lemon flavored, I thought, oh, that's a different palette that I'm going to incorporate when I come home for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. We went for a month and a half, October, November, and arrabbiata became our favorite. And we came home and we probably made it 15 times since we
Right.
got home.
Yeah. Once you land on it, you're like, I'm making this every day.
That's how it was. For many days at dinner in a row, we had arrabbiata.
I think when I took my dance company to perform and we traveled all over Italy and performed for different regions, I kept coming back to like eggplant
Mm.
and eggplant sandwiches, any kind of way they made eggplant, like I was living off of it for like 2 weeks that we stayed and performed. But yeah, you keep those things in your cookbook or your own little, recipe box, like coming back to those things for sure. And I think it's a way to introduce yourself to a new taste, a new flavor palette, right? So the dances are the same way. They have lots of ingredients and they taste differently, they look differently, just like food. So they have a lot in common for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Now, can you tell me your most memorable dancing event that you did either with your dancing company or somewhere that you traveled?
Yeah, I would say when we went to Rome in the year 2000, we got a chance to dance for the Pope, Pope John
Wow.
Paul II, and so that was quite memorable,
Yeah.
quite nerve-wracking, but just huge, a huge event, and I think the dancers and both myself and the dancers that I took were like, "What is happening right now? Like, what are we doing? How did we get here?" It was beautiful, a beautiful moment. He blessed us and even clapped along as we danced just for those, handful of minutes, and then he moved on to another group to bless them. But we were in the crowd of thousands of people, and it was just nice to be acknowledged and to get a chance to meet and greet with him and be blessed. And, that just stuck with me for sure. That stood out.
Absolutely. Now, did you guys do a particular dance for him?
We did a little tarantella for him, and of course, like I said, he clapped along, so that was really cool, and, but there's always, the next thing that we're doing with the company. Just this has been such an adventure for me. It wasn't something I set out to do, but ever since we did that first show in the early '90s, stepped off the stage, we just got booking after booking, and even today, I'm always looking to hire more dancers because last year we did 26 cities and 6 different states. And so we're teaching thousands of people across the United States how to do these dances. We give workshops. So we want to do performances and we love that, but we want to teach. We want you all to learn these dances so that you can share them with your family. So I offer Zoom workshops as well as in person. So if your listeners are out there and they want to join us, they can go to my website, allegrodancecompany.net, and sign up for a class or hire us to come to we taught at birthday parties. We did a family reunion last year that was a blast. So we love celebrating with you and teaching and sharing. That's what it's about.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds so cool. I would love to learn the tarantella. Like I've always, wanted to do it. I'm very clumsy, so I probably would have to see you in person. But I love that you guys are also in New York. I think it's really cool. I
Yeah,
feel like
we're
New
all
York is
over.
Italian city.
Yeah, we're all over the place. In fact, I'm giving some book signings in New York and at the end of March. So if anybody is in the New York area, at the end of March and you want a workshop, I have a couple other dancer friends that I've taught in New York, and I'm sure they would love to jump in and help out with the workshops. Yeah, just give us a call or let us know, visit our website and book something because that's what it's about. It's about sharing for the next generation so that you don't feel awkward at that wedding or that next birthday party or whatever the celebration is. Even if it's a patron saint day for a church. We've done those too because many of these dances are about processing to the church and giving honor and praise to that saint. So, maybe dig a little deeper into your heritage this year and, make that flavor palette, a little more potent, so that you can enjoy the heritage and all that it has to offer.
So when you go to the cities, where are some of the different cities you go to and where are you guys performing?
Yeah, so we do a lot of Italian festivals, of course. Last year we went to Ohio, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, of course, New York City, and gave a workshop there. And this weekend I am headed to Florida for the IAFL convention to teach a big Tarantella workshop there. And
Where at?
that's in Boca Raton,
Okay.
Florida or Fort Lauderdale area. They're having their big convention. It's the Italian American Future Leaders. So if you're age 21 to 35, you should apply to that convention and be a part of that next generation that's trying to preserve the Italian culture and traditions in different ways. And so I'm going down to present the dances and sharing my knowledge and research that I can so that they can pass it on to their generation to teach others. So it's things like that. So Florida is my next stop, and then I'll be on to New York, New York City in that area. I have a couple of book signings there and hopefully a workshop. Maybe we can get something together in New York. And then we're headed to all over Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh area where
Mhm.
we are located and we travel a lot. And then later on in the fall, we are headed to North Carolina for a beautiful vineyard in Rhonda, North Carolina, giving a workshop there with a wine tasting, which, yeah, please and thank you, right?
Yeah, no, that's incredible. So my family is from just outside of Pittsburgh, a little town,
Okay.
Wimmer. So Pittsburgh's sort of our hometown, and there's a lot of Italians in Pittsburgh, a lot of immigrants.
Right. I mean, they settled in this area. My family settled in West Virginia for the coal mining industry. And so both of my grandfathers worked in a coal mines for years and years. Yeah. So That Appalachian region is filled with Italian Americans, and they built part of this United States, of course, brick by brick or marble by marble. You know what I mean? So I think that's another way that this connection is happening. We should honor those sacrifices that they made and the jobs that they did and highlight that. I know I'll be giving a workshop and a little presentation at the Frick Museum in Pittsburgh talking about coal mining and the Italian American experience and reflecting on the heritage through dance. So I'll be storytelling and doing some presentations there. I think that's
When
May
is that
2nd.
one?
Yeah, I think it's May 2nd at the Frick Museum, and they will be announcing that and giving out information and details how to get tickets. So I'll be
Okay.
talking about coal mining and my grandparents' story through dance. So I think that's a really cool way to share it, and the audience, I think, is gonna be in for a real treat.
Absolutely. If I am up there around that time, I will come to that, but I wanna let my parents know I really want them to see it and really learn about this history because, like I said, we have done the Tarantella at weddings, it's been in our family, but I don't know that we've ever discussed or even have really known where it's come from or many of these Italian dances.
Sure. I mean, a lot of people are just, they jump into a circle and they hold hands and they don't really know why or what's going on, perhaps. So I really break it down step by step so that you don't have to be a dancer because if you're Italian and you want to share your heritage, let's learn together. I mean, that's how I learned. Before I could walk, I think I learned these tarantellas. So I think just learning step by step and the meaning behind each movement, because each movement has a meaning and a real history behind it. For example, when we're turning and we're spinning, a lot of audience members are like, gosh, you guys do a lot of turns in your show. But the turns represent us sending our prayers up to the heavens so that we can be cured or healed. So that's why we're spinning so much. That's why we do those little paddle turns with one arm up, reaching up to the heavens, right? So there's meaning behind each movement, and we'll dive into those things as we teach across the United States. I gave a really fun workshop last year at Indiana University and got a chance to work with the students there, and they were just asking all kinds of questions like, why does that exist? Or, oh my gosh, what do you mean it's that old? So I think we need to have more conversations like you're doing with your podcast and maybe share a slice of pizza, and have a conversation and learn a few steps. It doesn't take much to learn these dances, not a lot of effort, right? Go over it step by step. If you can walk, you can do these dances and do these steps easily. But you do have to learn about them. You need to know the reason behind why we hold hands or why we spin or why we hop on one foot and then the other. And learn that there's different variations. Some look nothing like the other. And so, know your region, right? Know where you come from and learn the dance and listen to the music behind that region because it might tell you more about yourself for sure.
Very true. Now, with your travels, as we're from Abruzzo. Is there a certain dance there or a certain thing that makes that area different than the other areas?
Yeah, I learned a beautiful dance called Ballo della Conca, and it's called Dance of the Basin, and it's for women, and it tells the story about women going to and from the well, and it's one of the first dances I got a chance to learn when I had my company in the early '90s, and they balance these basins on their head, and they have this waltzing kind of movement to the dance. And you're not supposed to touch the basin. However, when I learned it, I didn't have basins from Italy, so we used baskets and we just kinda held them on our head, but the story behind it was so beautiful from that region that I just fell in love with it and I wanted to perform it, and so the early '90s, my company did that dance several times for various festivals, but it's from that region, so that elegance and the hardworking women of Abruzzo. Come on. Like, that's what it told me, like, she is not to be played with. She's really strong, and balancing that basin is not easy on your head. And they'll wear, like, a little towel or a piece of material that's rolled up in a circle, and the basin just sits right inside of it. But I can't imagine that. Like, these are based on real stories and real people and real work. So, yeah.
It's incredible, and I'm wondering, you might be able to tell me if this is the case or not, but when we were there for, like, an extended period of time, 3 weeks or so. We went to the the Mayala Mountains, and at the base of the mountain, you have the water, and I'm wondering if it's the
Mm.
same water from the well because that's the water that's used to make Diceco and some of the pastas, and this water is, like, blue and beautiful and, like, clear and just very clean.
Perhaps. I mean, that's what I mean, like, you'll start putting those pieces of the puzzle together, and it will start making sense to you. I did the same thing with a few other dances, and it made me think, "Oh, well, that's why I like this," or "That's why they did this, because they were close to a mountainous region," or like you said, a body of water. There are capes that we wear for the Calabrian region that has a specific color of blue, and I thought, "Gosh, I wonder why it's that specific blue." And then when I arrived at my cousin's house and I looked out to the Ionian Sea, well, that was the same color blue.
Wow.
And so it just clicked for me like, "Oh, I get it. I get it."
There's so much meaning with Italian culture, and that's what I love so much about it.
Yeah. There's so much meaning, there's so much history, and I'm always diving in a little bit deeper every time I go, and you're never learning all of it. So, you should always be learning. You're always practicing your heritage. It's a living tradition. Just like making your pizza, you're doing it in real life, right? This is a living tradition. And so you shouldn't just put it in a box and pull it out for special occasions. You should be practicing it every day, right? Practice the language, listen to the music, make your pasta or pizza, and do your dances. Celebrate after dinner. Take your passeggiata and maybe do a little dance. Like, celebrate every day because you don't know if the next one's coming, right? You should celebrate every day.
Yeah, yeah, you're right about that. So, Anna, how do people find you?
Sure, I'm on different platforms. They can find me mostly on my website, allegrodancecompany.net. Or if they want to take classes or dive deeper and study and train with me, they can go to annaharsh.com and it will lead you all to the social media and all of those other platforms. But I do a lot of writing on Substack if they want to go there. It's called Tambourine Chronicles because wherever I go, my tambourines go. But and then they can buy the books on Amazon or through my websites. Absolutely.
Great. Guys, please go to her website, buy the books. They're absolutely incredible. I can't wait to get them myself. I want to get the children's book for my nieces and I want to get the dance books for my family. These are just arts and things that need to be cherished and remembered and done, especially for us that grew up Italian and want to continue with practicing Italian culture. So, Anna, thank you so much. I really enjoyed talking with you and learning about these dances and just been an incredible conversation.
Thank you so much. I'm so honored. It was so nice to meet you.